Hello, friends and colleagues. This is John Ross, president of the PA Principals Association. Welcome to my President's Vlog, something I try to push out once a month. And today's February the 28th, so I'm getting it in just in the nick of time. As we've done last couple of times, I believe, this month's vlog is sponsored by our friends at Josten's. You're going to hear a little bit more in just a moment about all the services that Josten's has to offer you as a school principal. Before we get started, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, as they always say at the start of videos. Liking this video and subscribing to our PA Principals Association YouTube channel goes a long way toward accomplishing some of our goals for this channel. So thank you for watching. This month, I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I wrote about in our most recent PA Principals Advisory newsletter, and that's state assessments. As of the publishing of the advisory, we had not heard yet as to what the plan was, and as we all know now, we have heard. So I just want to take a couple of minutes to talk about that. It's my belief that our students, school-age children, have really suffered more than any other group, in my opinion, during this pandemic. They've lost out on huge sections of their lives. They've lost out on memories and experiences that we all got to take advantage of when we were in school. Graduation, proms, activities, athletics, musicals, just so many things that are what school's supposed to be all about that our kids didn't get the chance to experience due to the pandemic. When you combine that with the fact that we all know that there was a tremendous mental health crisis taking place across our country in our school-age children, and that crisis was only exacerbated by the problems created, the isolation and the detachment created by COVID-19, we're in a serious situation. Even though there's light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccination, if you're like me, and I'm sure we all have had some experience trying to get our kids connected, trying to get our students connected to school, trying to help them through whatever mental health problems that they might be having, which typically they would have access to if they were in school. So it's been quite a challenge for them, and subsequently a challenge for us. And we all know that one of the biggest foes of mental wellness for many of our students is the existence of standardized testing. With that in mind, we all pretty much agreed that it would be a really great idea if they were to waive state assessments this year, the federal requirements and the state requirements for annual standardized assessments. We were hopeful that when President Biden nominated a former principal to be the Secretary of Education, that might have been a sign that this administration was going to be looking out for the best interests of our children and would be advocating with that in mind. Unfortunately, they've chosen instead to focus more on what corporate education's telling them and what the testing companies are telling them, trying to sell us on the notion that we need data for some reason to see the impact of this year. We don't need data. That's a preposterous notion. We all know our students aren't going to perform as well as what they've done in the past. And any data that might be collected at this point is going to be tremendously flawed. It's not going to give an accurate representation. If a school district really decided that was something that they felt was important, there's a lot of other ways that they could collect that data rather than doing a state assessment. But let's put that aside. What they were nice enough to grant us instead of the full waiver, they did give states the ability to shorten the state assessments. They're giving them the ability to waive the 95% minimum participation rate, and they're giving them the state's ability to extend the testing window. As of right now, we're thankful through a lot of advocacy on your part and our association and other state education associations. Governor Wolf and PDE have given an extension. They are applying, and they're going to be getting the waiver to extend the PSSA window into September. As president of the association and as a professional myself, I strongly encourage our members to advocate that your district take advantage of that in order to give children more time to adjust and get back into the normal flow of school before we have to administer these assessments. Let's just keep in mind, as we all know, what's best for our kids is going to outweigh what's convenient for us. So it might be easier as far as scheduling to maybe try and knock those tests out in the regular time and just get them done with. But what's convenient isn't necessarily what's best for our kids. And waiting until September, waiting as long as possible to try to give them a sense of normalcy before piling this on them is, in my opinion, what's best for our kids. So what can we do as principals? What can we do in light of the fact that we're going to have to do these tests? Well, I'm going to share some ideas with you in just a moment, right after this quick message from our friends at Josten's.
At Josten's, we believe your school brand is more than what your school looks like. It's what your community stands for, what your climate feels like, and how your culture embodies it. That's part of the Josten's difference. Schoolmark is Josten's full-service school branding program that helps you capture and convey the essence of your school brand by helping you define, design, and live your school brand every day. That's Schoolmark's trusted approach from your Josten's trusted partners of helping you develop and activate an inspiring school brand that engages students, faculty, and community. For more information on Schoolmark, contact your Josten sales representative or reach us at schoolmark@jostens.com.
All right, thank you to Josten's for sponsoring our vlog, as always. So what can we do as principals? Well, we can try to make every possible accommodation, everything that's within it. Let's talk about the things that are within our control to try to minimize the negative impact that we know these pointless assessments are going to have. That begins with, let's make the most of those instructional minutes. We've talked a lot, I know, in various circles about instructional minutes and how valuable they are now. We don't want to waste that time, that precious time that we're going to have between now and the rest of the year to spend instructional minutes on test prep, doing meaningless activities in order to try to raise the score a point or two. Let's not waste our time on test prep, okay? In my opinion, we should be using that time to give instruction that's really needed by our kids. I also think one thing that we can do is we can try to take steps to treat, whenever we give the tests, treat them like any other day. There's no need for pep rallies and countdowns and slogans and giving out prizes and all this, rigmarole, hype behind tests. Let's just try to make it just another day at school, another day at the place where kids feel welcomed and valued and loved, and try to minimize the disruption that causes. Another way that we can do that is putting our students with their teacher. I know the recommendation from PDE is to not have PSSAs administered by the teacher of record. It's just a recommendation, okay? As principals, I think we should advocate, here's this person, the one person in many cases, the one person that kids have had as their consistent contact during this time, the person that's been the rock for them. They're now, if they're going to be in school taking these tests, let's have them take it with this person and not put someone they've never met. They've been through enough already. We don't need to put them in front of a brand new person for this pointless, meaningless assessment. So having them with somebody that they're comfortable with would be a really great idea. Another thing that I know might be a little bit controversial, but it's certainly something we're capable of doing is, making sure our parents have an opt-out process, making sure there's a clear opt-out process, making it convenient for parents. If parents choose to opt out for religious reasons, and I'm no, prognosticator, but I'm going to predict that there's going to be a significant number of parents that are going to choose to opt out this year. We want to try to make that process as easy as possible for them. The last thing we want to do is to complicate that unnecessarily. If it's not a mandate, I'm not saying anybody should break the law. If it's not a mandate and it's not in the best interest of kids, those two things, not a mandate and not in your judgment in the best interest of kids, then we shouldn't do it. One last thing I'm going to suggest that we do is advocate for our teachers. Minimize the impact on them, minimize the pressure on them. A lot of times as leaders, and I'm as guilty of it as anyone, we get all caught up and worked up in PSSA hype, and that gets passed off to our teachers and that gets passed off to the kids. So trying to make sure we remind our teachers how valued they are, how important they are, try and let them know that, we're going to be there to support them through this process. I think that will go a long way toward making them feel more comfortable as we go through all this together. We definitely want them to feel supported. So not a whole lot of rocket science there, but just some suggestions that I've been thinking about, things that I think that we can all do. I continue to be incredibly honored to be president of the PA Principals Association, and I'm going to respect that honor. I'm going to respect that responsibility that you've placed in me by continuing to advocate for you and advocate for the students in your care. And that's what I'm attempting to do here today. I'd also give a shout out to our executive director, Paul Healy, and Assistant Executive Director Eric Eschbach. If you want to check out their webinar that they pushed out the day, this is how great our association leadership is. The day this stuff came out from Harrisburg, they put a webinar together. You can find it right here on our PA Principles YouTube channel. Again, like and subscribe so you can continue to stay up to date with everything that we have going on. And last but not least, thanks again to Josten's for being such a great sponsor of everything that we try to do for our members here at the PA Principals Association. With that said, everybody, thanks so much for your time, for your attention, for everything that you're doing for the children in your care. Again, I'm President John Ross of the PA Principals Association. I thank you for your time. Have an outstanding day, and thanks for joining me.